Welcome to Road Creek Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. I'd like to welcome you all to the show. I am relevant. Why do I say I'm relevant? Because I have a opinion. I have a ideology that is prevalent for today's times that we're living in. You too are relevant when you can look at a situation, you can dissect a situation, and then you give your take on what you've witnessed, heard, or seen that can bring clarity or understanding to that situation. That makes you relevant. Now, if you witness something and you can't put two and two together, right? You can't do the math, or you looking at it and you come up with something just totally absurd, then that makes you irrelevant, right? If this is a democracy and the majority rules, and if this is a country governed by the people and for the people, then majority rules. We are at a crossroads in this country. And if you are of sound mind, if you are a person who can look at a situation and determine what's right, what's the truth, and stand by what's right and what's true, then you're a special being, special individual. If you can look at a thing and the truth is obvious, but you refuse to do what's obvious because you have your own personal agenda, then you are a damaging, misleading person, right? And if people follow you, you will lead them into their doom, right? Now, why am I saying all this, right? I'll give you all a quick example. And I'm talking about Rasheem Carter, right? Look, I don't know human beings that will stoop to such animalistic behavior, right? I don't know any other race on this planet that has suffered and continue to suffer like black people on the planet, right? When I heard of James Byrd in Texas, how he had got decapitated, I was like blown away, because what human being, right, could even do something this hideous? I couldn't have fathomed or imagined that God would create a being that was that hideous. And really, that's a topic for another day, because I understand that too and research that too. And I know who created who and who didn't create who. So, okay. But that's a discussion for a later day. This was so ridiculous. But it's taken me a while to get into the story, right? It says a black man was decapitated after saying he was being chased by white men. Why do police say no foul play? Let me tell you why. Because the police, and it is true. It is true. It's true. You do have some good police officers, meaning the whole lot is not rotten, right? But the problem with that is it's hard to get the good ones to roll over on the bad ones, right? Then they say, well, of course, the good ones are not going to roll over on the bad ones because they need that blue wall of silence. They need that protection. They need to know that when they get on that radio and call for bag up, they brothers in blue are going to show up, right? So it has the good ones locked in a struggle. That's one of the reasons they say defund the police so they can get rid of all the bad ones and rebuild the thing. That way they don't have to worry about a blue wall of silence and they don't have to worry about who's going to watch their back. Do they feel safe when they're out on the streets and so on and so forth, right? But let me get into it. For 4 months now, because he went missing in October, 4 months have now passed since Rasheem Carter's remains were found in a wooded area in Mississippi. Despite the black man's alleged fears for his life at the hands of a group of white men, his family are no closer to getting any answers over his death. Now, this is what's ridiculous. Here's a black man who said, man, look, these white folks bother me. I'm afraid for my life. This Mississippi, where do he turn? He has nowhere to go. Right? He has no example of what to do. I know y'all be hearing me over the years saying, look, stop singing them We Shall Overcome songs and stop looking for sympathy from racists who will never give you sympathy. All you doing is weakening black people and generations to come to where, I'm sorry, if you keep weakening them, people will run roughshod over our community. Now, look, show you how sad it is, right? I heard this when I was growing up, right? Old people would say this, right? Yeah. If they bigger than you, you don't run from nobody. If they bigger than you, you pick up a rock, a stick, or anything you can, and you knock them out, right? Stand your ground, fight back. But that was always against black people, against us. The parents would say, fight them, fight the bully. You pick up something, you knock them out, right? But they never said you pick up a rock, stick, bat, anything you can get your hands on to knock out anybody. It don't matter what race, creed, or color. Stand your ground and defend your honor and defend who you are. See, wrong message. How can you say that, black folk, if you got a picture of a white Jesus hanging up in your church, or if you're afraid of white folk? If you're afraid of white folks, you can't teach the youth nothing, right? But how to be a victim. And that's what's been happening. Too many times we've been teaching our youth for generations on how to become a victim. And when something serious goes down, you teaching them how long we've been singing, because y'all passing down these songs for generations. And I'm saying nothing wrong with the song, but sing the song at the right time. Don't sing the song when some tragedy occurs and conflict arises. That's the time where you come together and you come with a strategy, a good plan, because your life is in danger. But man can get he not only was he decapitated, this man's spinal cord was removed. What animalistic being would decapitate somebody and then move their spinal cord? One day in October, Rasheem Carter sent a chilling final text message to his mother. The black 25-year-old told her he was being chased by a group of white men in pickup trucks while they hurled racist abuse at him, right? She never heard from him again. 1 month later, Carter's remains were discovered in a wooded area, his head completely severed from his body, according to the family. It was the 1st of October when Carter sent a anonymous text message to his mother. I'm sorry. It was the 1st of October when Carter sent an ominous text message to his mother. At the time, Carter, a welder who lived in Fayette, Mississippi, had gotten a short-term job as a contractor around 100 miles away in Taylorsville. Laurel Police Chief Tommy Cox told The Independent in an interview that Carter was one of a crew of temporary workers who had come into the area for a job at a nearby plant. So he wasn't there. He traveled 100 miles to go into this part of Mississippi to work at a plant. The group was staying at a hotel in Laurel County and traveling around 20 miles each day to the job in Smith County. Many of the workers were from out of state, he said. For Carter, the job was a way to save money to try and get his seafood restaurant back up and running after it was shuttered during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, here go a man. Look, he trying to do the right thing. He wasn't out there hustling. He wasn't trying to sell no dope. He is finna get him a job to make him some money to open back up his own restaurant, right? Humble, that's being humble, right? When you're just being humble, that's being trusting in a higher power. But on October 1st, Carter reached out to his mother, telling her in a detailed text message that he was having issues with his co-workers and feared for his life. Miss Carter said at a press conference on March 13th. Now look, and there's another red flag, right? Men, young men, when you out and about from 18 to 80, anything arises, if you can't call the police, you got to call your cousins, your uncles, people from the neighborhood, somebody that you down with that's finna come down there and see what's going on. You know, you got to get as many people involved. All right. Don't call no scared Negroes. Right. All they're going to do is fuss at you and ask you, why you calling me with this mess? Get me involved in all that. I got my own problems. You don't want them kind of Negroes. Me and the owner of this company are not seeing eye to eye. The message read, he said, if anything happens to me, he is responsible for it. He got these guys wanting to kill me. Right. Carter gave his mother the name of the individual he was fearful of and told her that he was being chased by a group of white men in 3 trucks. My son told me, and this is mother, my son told me that it was 3 truckloads of white guys trying to kill him. And at the time that he told me, as a mother, you know, I had to think fast, she said. She said she urged him to go straight to a police station because I felt in my heart they would serve and protect like they are obligated to do. We still, my God, our faith has to be in ourselves and melanated people that look like us, right? First. Not saying that you can't trust our white people. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just simply saying you got some racist white people out there who would like to do nothing better than to harm you. And if you can't determine which one of them is okay and which one of them wants to kill you, then don't deal with none of them. If you haven't did the study or know how to decipher the good ones from the bad ones, then just don't deal with none of them. It's about self-preservation and preserving your life, right? Okay. Now, his mother said the police were supposed to serve and protect like they are obligated to do. And they, in their eyes, they don't feel they obligated to serve and protect black people. You know, unless the feds come in and force them. We as a people, we got a lot of work to do. That's all I can say. We got a lot. What dog-like animal will decapitate a man and then separate the spine and then pull the spinal cord out the body? How sick? What are we did? What kind of beast did something like that? It's just ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it's not about black folk. Look, black people, you are and we are the oldest people on this planet. Let me say it again. We are the oldest people on the planet. Yeah, we have trouble tapping into because we got so many obstacles in our way, so many methodologies, right, that works against us that we adopted wholeheartedly. We have taken it into our core, right? That the way we was taught during slavery by a slave master, an enemy, people who killed your mothers and fathers and separated, we taken what they've taught and pulled it into our core being. And this trap, we don't seem to know the method or the methodology on how to remove that from our core. That's the problem. Not that we can't do it, and not that we don't have the strength and the power to do it. We just don't know how to do it. And the reason why we don't know how to do it is because we let what they gave us take over our way of thinking. All right. Our mind. See, the mind is so powerful. That's why the Bible says, a man thinketh, so is he. So if you think what they gave you, they know you would be that. Meaning, what did they used to do in slavery time? Get the elderly black man who everybody knew and respected, put a suit jacket on him, and tell him what to preach, how to preach it, and where to preach it from. And the slave master still right behind him to make sure he was getting it over to the slave. Slave, obey your master. Slave, when it get cold, give your master your coat. If you can't decipher between the lines, what that was saying, that means your mind was totally gone. And if you pass that trash on to your next generations, then you setting them up for failure. So you let that ideology become your mindset. So the same response that was done in the 16, 17, 18, 19, in the 2000s, it's still the same response. A group of people, bunch of songs, grown men crying until the next event takes place again, right? Okay. Well, hey, all right. But that only can work for so long, right? Then there comes a time where you have to make sound decisions. All right. As any self-respecting human being would do. Why? Self-preservation. This crime against Rasheem Carter was so hideous that if the federal government don't swoop down and deal with this issue, I mean as priority, right? Priority. This is worse than any ISIS video that we could witness on television that took place on the soil in the Middle East. Because this took place on the soil of America, where human beings are walking around with the capability and the lower dog nature to decapitate a upright human being, a business owner, a taxpayer, a worker, and the National Guard, the military, haven't swooped in to find an individual or individuals or those group of men that was capable of even doing something like that. Now, let me show you what we're dealing with, right? Because it gets deeper, right? It gets deeper. Show y'all what we're dealing with. Okay. At 4:32 p.m. on the 2nd of October, one day after he last communicated with his family and the same day a missing persons report was filed, Carter was captured on a deer trail camera footage in the wooded area where his remains were later found. In the footage, a still of which was shown to Carter's family and shared with Business Insider, a 25-year-old is seen shirtless in the woods south of Taylorsville. His upper body appears to be covered in bruises and marks, and he is holding what looks like a large branch. Miss Carter told Insider that it shows her son was running for his life. You could see there are bruises on him, she said. When I see that picture, I know my son was somewhere struggling, somewhere running for his life. I really believe he was chased there. These demons chased this man, decapitated this man, and pulled his spinal cord from his body. What sick? I mean, I'm not through. Hold on. I'm not even through. She added, the picture shows something is not right. Something transpired. Carter's cousin, Tarsha Clark, said she believes it shows Carter, who the family said was healthy and had no prior medical issues, was hiding from potential attackers, right? He hiding with a branch, bruises on him. He getting ready to fight for his life. Oh my God. I think it was a struggle and he was trying to protect himself. He was hiding, she said. Smith County Sheriff Joel Houston, whose department is leading the investigation into Carter's death, told the outlet that no other individual picked up by the trail camera. He's the only one on the camera. It doesn't show anybody else present, he said. At this point, we're just trying to rule out any possibility. His remains was found, but Chief Cox said that his officer spoke to one or two of Carter's co-workers as part of the investigation, but revealed that the unnamed individual had already left the state. They left the state now. Our investigators talked to a couple of the co-workers over the telephone, but they were already back out of state at the time, so I don't think any of them were like one-on-one interviews. Wow. Then they said when asked if the interviews brought up anything of interest in the case, the police chief said he couldn't comment. A couple of weeks after the missing persons investigation was opened, the case and all the information was then handed over from Laurel PD to Smith County Sheriff's Department. But the sad part about this is, and it's a lot more I could read, but the police department said that there was no foul play. Just hit you in the gut. After all that, now no foul play. While saying there was no indication of foul play, investigators asked the public to come forward with any tips about the case. The MBI and FBI was also assisting Smith County Sheriff's Office in this investigation. Now, more than 4 months after the 25-year-old remains were found, his devastated family is no closer to getting answers as to what happened. No charges have ever been brought, and his case of death is unknown, and the man's head was decapitated. Right, now I'm talking about like cut with a saw. You already know. See, this is the thing, right? Okay, you right. Okay, this is the thing. You decapitate a human being. And that's in Mississippi, right? As if there is no God, right? No vengeful God, right? No God that brings justice, right? Now, Mississippi, poor town, right? This is the thing. When God brings the rain or the snow or whatever natural disaster upon that little town, right? And all them little rednecks and haters who killed this man, and they homes start to wash away, and they start losing everything, right? Time they turn the news cameras on, you hear him crying, and I lost everything, but at least I'm still alive, and so on and so forth. They never sit back to think, damn, right? Damn. We need to treat people as equal, or they're not going to have anything. God going to just flush them right on out. You on a planet, you're not justifying your existence with actions and acts like that. We need rednecks on this planet for what? To do what? Create more hate, decapitate more men. We need them to produce, to do what? To help our society in what kind of way? You know? And the funny part about it is, Be a black person. You can't blame them. That's their job, though. Be a black first responder on a boat. First one plucking them out the flood. Instead of running over them. But okay. Plucking one of them out the flood. Because that's the human thing to do. And the sad part about it is as soon as the water dries up and they get their insurance money, they back to being racist again, looking for another black man. But don't say, God, thank you for sparing my life. I try to do better. And the sad part about it is black Christian and white Christian read out the same Bible. Damn, how they getting them misinterpretations. Even the Ku Klux Klan say they Christians, and that's the racists say they Christians. Like the slave masters say he's a Christian, and said the slaves was Christians too. How in the hell the slave and the slave master could share the same religion? And then how the slave would trust or keep anything that was forced upon them by the slave master. Soon as black folks got free and the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, they should drop the argument, man. Like, I ain't got to hold your religion no more. I'm free. I get my own. You can take this back. I ain't finna pass your ideology, your mindset, your way of thinking down to my children and have them pass it down for generations. We finna stop right here, fix this Willie Lynch thing, then we gonna move forward and do our thing. So that's what should have been said. But everybody, man, for Rasheem Carter's family, especially his mother, say a prayer for her. Vopic Radio, we're out.